welcome to Aman Ministries. Today we're going to be discussing another sign, the great dragon revealed of Revelation 12. Due to the length of this presentation, we have broken this down into 4 presentations with 7 parts. They are Part 1, the great sign of Gedaliah, a great fast, not a feast, and Part 2, the great problem, finding the real dragon. Part 3, finding the real dragon, the shining one, and 7 Lucifers, and Part 4, finding the real dragon, 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns. Part 5, a dragon's tale, the future countdown, and Part 6, what on earth is happening, the scriptural answer. And finally, Part 7, the first woman and the same dragon, a midrash, God says it comes again. Part 1, the great sign of Gedaliah, a great fast, not a feast. Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then, being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. In the great sign and introduction, we saw how Revelation 12, 1 and 2 is fulfilled in the heavens in the constellations of Leo and Virgo. Here's a quick refresher of the great sign of the woman. The great sign formed in the star constellations of Virgo the Virgin, consisting of 12 stars, with its brightest star being called Spica or branch, and in Leo, consisting of 9 stars, with its brightest star being known as Regulus, or appropriately, the King's Star. Here we see the woman Israel and the Lion of Judah. Prophetically speaking, the foretold Messiah, who will rule over the 12 tribes of Israel, is the son of David of the tribe of Judah. Therefore, these star constellations match the scriptural prophecies with the Lion of Judah over the 12 stars or tribes of the woman Israel. Now, here is what had to take place prophetically in the constellations. For the great sign to be fulfilled in the heavens, all of the following things must occur. The woman must be clothed with the sun. The moon must be under her feet, and she must have a crown of 12 stars. So the 9 stars of Leo must become 12 stars. The woman must also be pregnant, and she must give birth to a king. Remember that all of these things had to occur at the same time. And here is what took place on September 23rd of 2017. The great sign appeared in the heavens on September 23rd of 2017. The 9 stars of Leo became 12 stars with the addition of the 3 roving stars, Venus, Mars, and Mercury. The sun is at the woman's back, clothing her. The woman is pregnant for 9 months and gives birth to the king's planet, Jupiter. And finally, the moon is perfectly under her feet. The sign of the woman was not actually completed until 9 p.m., and here is why. The great sign became complete on September 23rd when the moon aligned perfectly under her feet. The sign provided not only an exact date, but it gave us an exact start time as well. This was at 9 p.m. Jerusalem time. And on September 23rd of 2017 at 9 p.m., the fast of Gedaliah then began. The sign did not take place on a feast of Yahuwah. It took place on a fast of Yahuwah. In his latest video, Scotty Clark said, the great sign is a clock. Scott is not entirely wrong. The great sign is actually a calendar. It produces one exact date in all of human history. And just so you know, this very precise and exacting sign occurs once only every 26,000 years. Again, it occurs only once every 26,000 years. The great sign is also more exacting than has been recognized. As the scripture clearly states, "Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet." The moon is not at her feet, it is under her feet, and the Greek is very specific. Now, God chooses all of his words very carefully and uses the exact, precise words that we need to know. And I will tell you, in the future, I believe that this will be very important to understand. Now, as to what the fast of Gedaliah is, for those of you who are not Jewish, Zom Gedaliah, or the fast of Gedaliah. In 586 BC, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, destroyed Solomon's temple in Jerusalem and exiled the Jewish people to Babylonia. He allowed a remnant to remain in the land and appointed Gedaliah ben Ahikam as their governor. Many Jews who had fled to Moab, Ammon, and Edom, and other neighboring lands returned to Judah to tend the vineyards and the fields given to them by the king of Babylon. However, the king of Ammon was hostile towards the Judean remnant and sent a loyal Jew of the royal family named Ishmael ben Nethaniah to kill Gedaliah. On the 7th month of Tishrei, Ishmael came to Gedaliah at Mizpah and was welcomed. Gedaliah had been warned of Ishmael's murderous intent, but he refused to believe his informants, calling their report slander. On the 3rd day of Tishrei, Ishmael murdered Gedaliah along with many of the Jews and most of the Babylonians who were left with Gedaliah. The remaining Jews fled to Egypt, taking the prophet Jeremiah with them, fearing the vengeance of Babylon. The surviving remnant of Jews was thus dispersed and the land desolated. When the sages in Babylon heard this, they instituted the fast of the 7th on the day of Gedaliah's assassination, forever memorializing the final fulfillment of the 70 years of the desolations of Jerusalem prophesied by Jeremiah. This is when the great sign took place. And it matches Revelation 12. As we look into Revelation 12 and the prophecy, we can see that the woman Israel fled into the wilderness, and the dragon persecuted the woman Israel, but the woman flew into the wilderness. Okay, this is an exile. It's matching what took place on the fast of Gedaliah. The fast in Revelation 12 mark a judgment on Israel. And the dragon is the agent of God's judgment. And war broke out in heaven. The great dragon was cast to the earth. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, for the devil has come down to you, having great wrath. And the dragon persecuted the woman. The dragon went to make war with the rest of her offspring. Again, the dragon is the agent of God's judgment. And this must take place first, but that is a future topic. When we're looking at the great sign and what must take place and when it must take place, it is simply this which must take place first. And there's a reason for that we'll discuss in a future presentation. Again, it did not take place on a feast of Yahuwah. It took place on a fast of Yahuwah, the fast of Gedaliah. And this is critically important to understand. Also, I truly do not want you to miss what is here. This is truly, when you begin to think of it and realize what has just happened, it is startling. This 103-year-old fast commemorates a judgment on Israel by God via the Chaldeans of Babylon. Chaldean means a stargazer. In the Brit Hadasha, or the New Testament, they are the Magi who saw his star and came looking for the newborn king of Israel. About 1919 years ago, John wrote of a great sign in the heavens connected to a persecution on Israel, who must flee into the wilderness for 3.5 years. He wrote of Mystery Babylon, and Babylon the Great also reemerge in Revelation 6 times as those whom God will judge. Israel's 70-year servitude to Babylon was never completed as prophesied in the Old Testament scriptures. The Persian cut it short by about 3 years. I believe 3.5 years. The judgment sign in the heavens John prophesied in Revelation 12 then takes place 1919 years later on the exact day of the fast which commemorates what John prophesied in Revelation. This is not humanly possible. It defies all imagination. And so does what I will begin showing you next. This concludes part 1, the great sign of Gedaliah, a great fast, not a feast. Up next, part 2, the great problem, finding the real dragon. The title of this series is This Final Generation. We'd like to thank you for watching, and we look forward to being with you again real soon. You can reach us at our web address at www.the70th7.com. That's the70th7.com. Did you hear something? If you thought that was cool, wait till you see what happens next.